Hello my dear children, I welcome you all again to my channel, that is Roshni Tutorials, and I have taken another poetry for you all for today's class, and this is The Kite. Okay, so let's understand what are the views of the poet, okay, and what is the message that we receive from this particular poetry. Before we begin, we will talk about the poet and then we will move towards the line-wise explanation of the topic. Children, let's start with today's class, and let me tell you a few details about Harry Behn. He was born on 24th of September 1898 and he died on 6th September 1973. He was an American screenwriter and children's author, and this poetry is also for children only. He has written the scene for the movies like The Big Parade in 1925 and Hell's Angels. He graduated from Harvard University in 1922. Children, in the screen you can see the contribution of the poet to us. He has written many such poetries and enriched literature. Now we will move towards the poetry. Okay children, let's start with the explanation of the poetry The Kite, which is written by Harry Behn. Okay. About the poem. What is the poem all about? Let's find out. The poem The Kite is a lyrical poem. Lyrical means just like a song. Okay. We can compare this poetry with a song because it has a sing-song tone. The poet simply explains the flying of kite in the sky, but it has a larger goal. See, in the poetry we find a kite is, taking its journey. Alright, right from the starting, from the wire, okay, from the thread till going to the sky and coming down to the ground. Okay, it talks about its journey, but it has a larger goal. What is that? Let's find out. The poet is trying to explain the journey of life. Through this kite, the poet is trying to tell us the journey of human life. Our youth is like bright kite and we try to achieve everything. It's obvious that during youth, during this phase, okay, we are energetic, therefore we can do whatever we wish, we can achieve whatever we accomplish, but the energy goes down as we grow old. Therefore, the journey has been compared with a kite, which goes up with full-fledged enthusiasm and then comes down when it loses its strength. We face failures in our lives and one day we finally become old and die. See, just like a kite, in the starting period we have full of enthusiasm, we have full of vigor, energy, alright, but as we grow, it dies and it decreases and finally we die, just like a kite which comes to the ground, which comes down to the ground after completing its journey. So the poem is about reality of human's life, which is short like the flight of kite. Okay, see, the duration is also compared here. The life of that kite is very temporary. In the same way, the life of human is also temporary. Let's see the message of the poetry. After reading the message, we will understand the viewpoint of our poet as well. Okay, so let's see what is there in the poetry. The Kite is a symbolic poem with a deeper moral. That's right. As I told you that it's not limited to word explanation. It has something more to tell. And what is that? That is life of a human being. In this poem, the poet talks about morality and brief life of humans. Now, morality, what do you mean by it? Moral values. Okay, so as we complete our journey, we should not leave the side of morality ever. Like the kite, we go to heights in our youth. then we face ups and downs, and finally one day we get old and die. Just like a kite, what do? In youth, we face problems, okay, and we come out of those problems with the help of our enthusiasm and confidence. Finally, we grow old and we die. Hence, our life on earth is too short, and we must accept this reality. We must accept that we are here for trivial period, okay, for small period, tiny period. Therefore, whatever we do, it should be worth mentioning, worth telling, worth memorizing. Okay, we should not do any harm to others, because of which we will be regretting later on. I hope till here it's clear, children. Now let us see literary devices in the poetry. Now these literary devices beautify our poetry, okay? These are called ornaments of any text or poetry. Simile. Simile means comparison of two things which are of different kind. And this is done with the help of like and as. Okay? If there is indirect comparison, then we say metaphor. So let's focus here on simile. It is the comparison of one thing with another thing of a different kind. Okay, let's see the example. Soar, like a ship. Soaring means going up. Okay, soaring means going up like this, like a ship. See, when there is a tide in the ocean, okay, ship is taken up by that tide. Okay, that tide. So this is what it is mentioned, just soars like a ship. Okay, next is alliteration. Alliteration means repetition of consonant sound. It is the occurrence of the same sound at the beginning of adjacent or closely connected words. As I told you, it's repetition of consonant sound, okay, at the starting or nearby. So let's see the example from the poetry. Bright on the blue. See, blue, B is repeated. B sound is repeated. A dive and a dip. D of dive and D of dip. Climbs to the crest. C of the crest. Strings goes slack. Strings, S and here S. Bridge blows, B sound is repeated. The top of a tree. The top of a tree. T sound is repeated. So here we find literary devices which beautifies the lesson, beautifies the poetry. Let's move towards other literary devices. This is enjambment, okay? It is the continuation of a sentence or clause across a line break. Example, how bright on the blue is a kite when it's new. So here what is happening, it's not in one line, okay? In the poetry we find half is in upper first line and half is in next. So it is not breaking, okay? It's continuation of the first line, therefore it is enjambment. Next is repetition. Repetition, you know, repetition of phrases, words or sentences. It is the repetition of various words or phrases for poetic effect. Example, how bright on the blue is a kite when it's new. It has been repeated twice in the poem. Now this is repeated, entire line is repeated in the poetry in order to create a different effect. Okay, and it is in order to create poetic effect it is done. I hope literary devices is clear to you all. Let's move towards the poetry. The poem is The Kite by Harry Behn. Okay, let's begin. How bright on the blue is a kite when it's new. How bright on the blue means how bright means it talks about energy of the kite, okay, which is going up in the sky. Blue means sky. Is a kite when it's new. Now when it is going up, when it is new, okay, when it is new. New means when it is very young, when there is no problem. With a dive and a dip, it snaps its tail. Now, dive and dip means dive and deep. Okay, just like a swimmer it's going deep and then coming up. Then again it is going inside and then coming up. This is called dive and deep movement. Okay, it snaps its tail. Now it's snaps means flapping of the tail. You must have seen kite. Okay, ideal kite. It has wooden frame in between and then they have like this. Okay, so its tail is snapping. Okay, dive in deep to go into water with a force and softness together. Snaps means cracking sound. Blue. It is color, but it is used for the clear sky without clouds. Okay, so I hope this line is clear. Then soars like a ship with only a sail, as over tides of wind it rides, climbs to the crest of a gust and pulls, then seems to rest as wind falls. Okay, see here. Then soars like a ship. It goes up like a ship. Okay, in a sea, when there is a huge tide, water tide, at that time the ship goes up. That is what it is mentioned. Just like a ship with only a sail. Sail means this kind of a structure which we find in the boat. Okay, but it is there with the kite. It is there in kite. As over tides of wind it rides. Now over the tide, that means it crosses tides and it crosses winds. And then it crosses tide and then it crosses wind and then it rides. Okay. Climbs to the crest. Now with the help of that force, wind force, it climbs to the crest. Crest means mountain out here. Of a gust and pulls. Gust means to go inside again and then pull means to come out. Okay. Gushing means to go deep inside something. Then seems to rest. After that, it seems that it is tired, therefore it doesn't want to fly more. Then it comes to stand still as wind falls. Now what causes this? Because of the lack of wind, the kite is stopped. When strings goes slack, strings means the thread with which it is connected. Okay, this is called string. Okay, goes slack. Slack means to lose strength. Okay, to lose strength or power. And this happens when there is no wind. Okay, if there is wind, it will go above, but not now. But not now when there is no wind. You wind it back and run until a new breeze blows and its wings fill and up it goes. Now after resting for a while, what happens? It again comes down and then starts a new flight with wind. Okay, with a strong wind or breeze. New breeze means the wind which comes again. Okay. When strings goes slack. When strings means the thread with which it is connected. Okay, usually the kite is connected with the thread. Okay, and this thread is we are talking here. When it goes loose. Okay, when it goes loose, you wind it back. Now when there is, okay, let me read out this and then I'll explain. And run until a new breeze blows. Now what happens while going up in the sky, when there is no wind, it starts coming down to the earth. Okay, so the flyer takes it back again, alright, for a time being, and then again when new wind comes or blows, new wind blows, then again it starts its flight with its wing up and it its wing open and it goes up. Okay, it means after experiencing bad days in life, it again thinks of experiencing new one and hopefully it moves ahead. How bright on the blue is a kite when it's new. See, again there is repetition, and as I have told you, when it is young it goes up in the blue sky, and when it comes back it is its old age. Okay, it is last stage. But a raggeder but a raggeder thing you never will see when it flips on a string in the top of a tree. Now what happens? Raggeder means torn or tattered because of some reason. Okay, it could be because of some plant, okay, because of some tree, because of some wire which is there in the in the air, electric post wires. Because of some reason, when it gets torn, at that time it will lose its enthusiasm, okay, and it comes down to the ground, and they never see this kite in the sky because it's already torn. Okay, it is already damaged, so how it can have another flight? So when it comes down to the earth, it shows that it has come to its last stage. So this journey can be compared with human life as well. Human life starts, human beings are born and then they start their journey, but in between they experience ups and downs, and finally they come down to earth, or finally they die just like kite. Okay, this is what we get to understand from the kite, and it is wonderful experience to read this poetry, because even during our child we also played with kite in our childhood days. Therefore we know how wonderful experience it will be. So I want you all to do the same, want to experience kite game, then do it. And as we have seen in other countries, they do celebrate kite flying competition. During Makar Sankranti, we fly kites in order to celebrate harvest of the crops. So this should be continued to make people happy, to make them relive their childhood again, and forget all our depressions, forget all our worries, and mix with new people so that we can have a new bonding. So children, I hope you like the video. Till then we meet again. Take care and keep flying kites. Thank you.